We got some breaking news happening right now out of Philadelphia. Take a look at two of these vantage points, one overhead, one on the ground right now. And we're learning from some of our Fox 29 Philadelphia folks at the moment that some arrests have taken place after some quote-unquote massive thefts. Otherwise, we could call them possibly looting over these stories that were circulating today in Philadelphia because the Philadelphia municipal judge, Wendy Pugh, made this ruling today. She dismissed all charges, including a murder count against Philadelphia police officer Mark Dial in connection with the August 14th fatal shooting of Eddie Irizarry. That was a story we brought you, especially the very, very horrific body camera video of that point-blank shooting. Irizarry was in the car. Dial fired his weapon. He's been placed on leave with the department. So today, a judge dismissed all of those charges. Now, the defense had asserted that Officer Dial was acting in self-defense when he fired his weapon at close range through the rolled-up driver's side window of Irizarry's sedan during a vehicle stop on August the 14th. Take a look at some of Steve Keeley's video he posted there. He says, breaking, Lululemon Philly store looted, Philly police say, as they guard the now closed Walnut Street. Now, of course, you might imagine those in the community oppose this measure very, very strongly today, and we were kind of going to be on the lookout, going to be on guard for some of these protests, some of these individuals who really are frustrated by this decision today, by this judge dropping the charges against Mark Dial, because his defense lawyer had urged the judge to drop all the charges. They included manslaughter, official oppression, and 4 other counts, including a murder count. All right, Steve Keeley also posting this. He says, the scene outside of Philadelphia's Lululemon store tonight after Philly police say looting broke out following a protest march. Let's go back out live to some of the scenes we have. It looks like overhead of a Lowe's store, and then on the ground outside of that Apple store as well. I know our shots aren't the best. Steve Keeley also tweeted this having to do with the Apple store. Philly's Apple store also hit hard by looting. Philly police tell Steve Keeley. Now, the caveat to all of this, the district attorney's office, his name Larry Krasner, has said following the decision that they would be appealing by the end of the day today, and that a motion to reinstate the charges against Dial was filed this afternoon. So that is significant, and that is maybe why you're not seeing more of these protesters, more of these quote-unquote looters kind of ransacking some of these stores there on Walnut Street in Philadelphia, because the sole fact that DA Larry Krasner and his office filed a motion to reinstate the charges against Dial. You can see there, look at all the merchandise strewn about on the sidewalk there outside that Lululemon. We also have this live picture up over, I believe, a Lowe's as well, getting reports of possible ransacking, looting at this Lowe's there in the area. Like I said, we do have this live picture on the ground there outside the Apple store. I think this is the photographer Steve Keeley is working with at the moment. I want to go back out to his tweet as well. You can see there, Lululemon Philly store looted. Philly police say as they guard the now closed Walnut Street. So, murder charges have been refiled against Philly police officer Mark Dial in connection with the August 14th shooting, the fatal shooting of Eddie Irizarry. So this has been quite the day for Philadelphia, and remember, the body camera video that was released not too long ago, I believe about 2 weeks ago now, was very hard to watch. Viewer discretion was advised. As you saw there, Mark Dial, he was with his partner. He went up to the passenger side of Irizarry's car and opened fire. So, Dial's bail was revoked earlier this month after prosecutors argued the charges made him ineligible for release. I'm not entirely sure, and we're going to get this, about what his status is right now with the Philadelphia Police Department. I had said former officer, but he is still with the department as of this point in time. So, but the news right now, looting going on there in parts of Philadelphia, some of these groups of protesters ransacking Lululemon, Apple, Lowe's, and others. So take a look live. All right, you can see there. That is Steve Keeley's camera. So we're about to head out now to Fox 29 in Philadelphia. They're going to cover this whole story. They're going to have a really great encapsulation of where we stand with this. Let's go to them right now.
More looting here in Port Richmond. Sky Fox over what looks like a discarded merchandise situation all outside of a video game store there and a supermarket. It comes the same day charges were dismissed against a former Philadelphia police officer for fatally shooting a driver during a traffic stop. This is the 10 o'clock news. I'm Jason Martinez.
I'm Sheba Russell. We want to get right out to one of the scenes tonight. Steve, what can you tell us?
Well, here is the usual scene in Center City. It's the shopping district. Broad Street all the way to Rittenhouse Square. Walnut Street is shut down by police, block by block. The side streets you can see have been reopened to traffic. The Apple store, one of the stores, hard hit. Now look inside here. In Apple, I just learned this from two detectives who went in to say, what was your loss? You'll notice a bunch of iPads and phones on the table to the right where the bag is. You'll see a bunch piled up there, right? That's various Apple products. And then on this table to the left. And so people grabbed all these expensive Apple products, and then when you steal them out of an Apple store, they instantly go bad, meaning they don't work, and a camera comes on and a thing tells you, put this back to the Apple store. So they realized it wasn't working, it was disabled, and they were just dropping them on the street. So they started recovering a lot of the products that were stolen. So that's why you see them piled up on two tables here. They've got to do an inventory. They didn't get them all back, but you see the man with the big case there in the cart, and he is getting ready to take them all in and see if they're still sellable or still even to be able to be put on a display. That's what happened to this store. But you can see the windows weren't shuttered. The doors were open at the time because this all happened before the store was closed. So they've been letting Philadelphia police detectives in here as well. Now we're going to go in the street here, which is shut down, and go down. That's 17th Street, then 18th Street, and that's where the Lululemon store is. Look at this video police provided us. Police were even here getting video as that store was completely looted. Those doors, when I got there, were still open. There was clothing, piles of clothes on the street, piles of clothes in the store, piles of clothes missing, obviously, but a whole lot of product got taken out of there, and people were running from there. So they are now cleaning up that store already under police watch. And so Lululemon, if you recall, just got looted itself in a smash and grab just about a month ago. And so this is the second time Lululemon was hit. Now, obviously, a target of people when they go in and smash and grab, or in this case, start looting, and according to police, after this protest. So that gives you a sense from one end to the other end of the shopping district, from 16th all the way to 18th, we saw. Then I was told Foot Lockers were hit. And then also up at 7th and Lehigh, we were told the stores up there started getting hit in North Philadelphia. So Sky Fox may want to check that out because that was still ongoing when I got here. SEPTA police, detective sources tell me they had a lot of arrests over at 15th and Chestnut, and a gun was recovered at 15th, right outside of City Hall, that trouble spot all the time. A Philly police captain told me multiple arrests here after massive thefts here, so they couldn't even have the exact number of arrests. I filmed one of the arrests with my phone as I arrived here shortly after 9 o'clock, so they were still arresting people a couple of hours after this all began here earlier tonight when it was still daylight out and these stores were still open. Now, police had, quote, tons of police on duty tonight, extra police just in case this happened, so they kind of quelled it. There's not the damage that we saw here during the looting in 2020. So not a lot of damage, not a lot of stuff smashed like we saw, not a lot of glass broken, nothing, hardly anything, but maybe on the side streets where this liquor store was hit hard, which I still haven't even found yet, maybe that looks a lot worse than, say, the Apple store here. But police did a good job stopping this just as it started, and you can see they still have the streets closed for some time. People are allowed to walk here, but probably the police are going to be here for a while. And again, we're seeing police get sent to help out in other spots in the city, including that spot in North Philly. So There's the scene right now. I'm sure we'll be keeping you up to date with other scenes throughout the newscast tonight.
Steve, those areas of Walnut and Chestnut that you're talking about have become notorious looting targets here. You mentioned in 2020, it certainly was. Any indication that any of these businesses, in anticipation of any unrest tonight, did they board up? Was there any kind of sign that they were anticipating this?
No, the problem here is that you had people not knowing that there was going to be a march tonight, right? So what happened was we had the decision from the judge today in the police officer's case, and nobody knew what that decision was going to be. Then suddenly a march rally was called for City Hall around dinner time at 5:30. So this all erupted after that. And this was the first protest in the Eddie Irizarry case that was scheduled for downtown. All the others were peaceful and up in Kensington, where it happened and where the family lives. This was the first one around City Hall. And why it was here? Because it was around the Criminal Justice Center and where all the city business takes place. So that's why we had the protest here for the first time, and that's why these people were kind of caught, you know, flat-footed in a way, not expecting anything, not boarding up and not worried. But the police were not, because the police, as soon as they heard about a protest, they were here in high numbers, extra police, and they were on added overtime, almost forced overtime in a lot of cases. So that's why they kept it under control for the most part.
All right, Steve Keeley there on Walnut. Thank you, Steve. And tonight, of course, Steve was talking about this, the outcry after a judge dismissed all charges, including first-degree murder against former Philadelphia police officer Mark Dial, after he shot and killed Eddie Irizarry during a traffic stop in Kensington last month.
The Philadelphia district attorney is now working to reinstate those charges, filing an appeal within hours of the judge's decision. Dial's attorneys arguing that their client had been acting in self-defense when he fired his gun 6 times through Irizarry's closed car window back on August 14th, killing the 27-year-old. The prosecution arguing that Dial used excessive force, firing at Irizarry within seconds of the encounter.
Once the court heard everything in this case, there was nothing under the law that she could do but discharge this case.
We do not agree with the judge's decision today to dismiss all the charges.
Irizarry's family reacting to the judge's decision with outrage and despair.
So you're saying that it's okay to kill? Are you saying that it's okay to murder someone because you're a police officer, because you have a badge? No, it's not.
Irizarry's family calling for Dial to face a lengthy prison sentence.
A lot of people turning their sorrow and pain into action tonight. They joined together calling for justice and an end to police brutality. Shawnette has more on that March rally we have been talking about in Steve Keeley's piece. Shawnette.
Well, one man I spoke to this evening, Mark Posell, says that he is feeling a range of emotions, as you can imagine: anger, there's sadness, just concern about this, but he's using those emotions to push toward holding those responsible accountable. Dozens of residents and activists take to the streets of Center City. They're protesting a judge's decision to dismiss charges against former Philadelphia police officer Mark Dial after he shot and killed Eddie Irizarry.
I'm here today to demand justice. Justice. For Eddie Irizarry and all victims of police brutality.
Before the march, the crowd gathered at City Hall to denounce police brutality and deadly force. Mark Posell runs Native Hustle Movement, an organization based on uplifting the community, bringing peace to the streets and a healthy way of living.
It could have been my son. It could have been any one of my family members, and that's a part of the problem.
While many with the group organizing the protest cursed police and the current system of policing, Posell has somewhat of a different message.
I can't go outside because it's violence. I can't get pulled over because I can't trust the cops. You know, I'm just tired. We all need to come together and fight. And the cops, too. The cops need to be a part of this. They need to engage with us, you know, and become our neighbors.
Xiomara Torres is a protest organizer with the Party for Socialism and Liberation Philly, standing in solidarity with the Irizarry family.
We as a Puerto Rican community need to be involved in this larger struggle for police brutality. We need to express solidarity between our different neighborhoods, our different communities.
Interim Police Commissioner John Stanford was also there this evening and has this to say of the high police presence in the city tonight.
Being out here is trying to to separate those that are agitators versus the folks that really want to express themselves and their, in some cases, their opinion about the criminal justice system or what has taken place, and that's understandable.
And again, as we mentioned earlier, there will be a hearing on a motion to refile those charges against that former Philadelphia police officer on October 25th, Jason.
All right, Shawnette Wilson, thank you very much. Coming up here at 10:30, we'll hear more from the family of Eddie Irizarry.
And now a first check of your forecast with
All right, we thank Fox Philadelphia 29 there as they covered this front and back there about what is happening now in the city of brotherly love with these looting incidents, massive arrests. We just heard from Fox 29's Steve Keeley there on the ground outside that Apple store. But it looks like we still have this picture overhead. Let's take this right now. And you could kind of see all of these law enforcement officers there in Philadelphia trying to find some of these protesters who ransacked some of these stores there. Looks like our Skyfox chopper getting off that shot at the moment. So this is just a story we're going to have to stay on top of. You heard there in Shawnette Wilson's report this hearing about whether or not to refile these charges, that motion that was filed today by the district attorney in Philadelphia, Larry Krasner. It's not going to be held until late October. So still a long ways away until we get an answer about whether or not these charges will be refiled and whether the charges will be the same as the charges that were dropped today by this judge. And those charges included a murder count. They included official oppression, manslaughter, and 4 other counts. And you saw there, we showed you some of that really vigil and rally remembering the life of Eddie Irizarry and so many coming out in opposition to what this judge did today. But still, and that's the caveat, that's part of this story, there is an effort to refile those charges. It doesn't happen immediately, but the effort is underway at the moment. So unfortunately, Skyfox flew away there from that site of so many law enforcement officers kind of rounding up some of these protesters, some of these looters who ransacked Apple, Lululemon, and others there, making their voices heard about their opposition to the murder of Eddie Irizarry and the fact that Mark Dial was about to walk today. It doesn't seem like that's the case. This story is going to develop even further there in Philadelphia, and we'll make sure you have updates when we get them here on Live Now from Fox.